a life of entrepreneurial freedom with insights from successful creatives, entrepreneurs, and investors. Discover how they overcame challenges and turned their biggest dreams into reality. They share their personal success playbook so you can build the business and life you truly want. Welcome to Passion Millionaire, the podcast by Robert Roth. Rock and roll your dreams.
Welcome to today's episode of the Passion Millionaire Podcast. I'm excited as always today, especially. We have a guest who created my branding design, Rock and Roll Your Dreams, Passion Millionaire brand. And I'm absolutely a fan of my own new branding and other brandings that she has made. She is one of the best designers that I know for web design, for branding in general, personal brands, and she has built her own design studio from being a student living in Germany to now living in her dream country with a successful design studio. Lots of learnings from her. I'm excited to introduce Flora Voelcker. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Robert. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Go ahead and feel free to reintroduce yourself, correct whatever I have said wrong, and feel free to add whatever you like.
My name is Flora, as Robert mentioned, right? I am 26 years old now, and I live in the Winelands next to Cape Town, about 40 minutes from Cape Town, enjoying some lovely summer weather here. And yeah, I'm excited to share my journey from being a 20 student to running a successful 5-figure monthly design studio with the help of Robert, obviously, as well. But excited to share my journey, excited to share how I built my team and a running business that I'm very, very proud of today.
Yeah, happy to have you. And let's dig right in. Maybe goal should be that we can we can learn, especially maybe this episode is more for freelancers who might be interested in building a business with a team and with systems that is made for scaling, that is made for growth. That's exactly what you're doing. You're still growing and scaling. You're on your way to double again, which is super exciting. So where did it all start? Back to Germany. Maybe tell us a little bit of the story, and then would like to figure out how you got there, where you are now.
So I was actually studying marketing communications in Germany, and I was working in a startup, and I never actually studied graphic design. I come from the marketing perspective, so I was working for the startup in the design area, and I learned a lot of design things there from the senior product designer, but I never really considered design as like my go-to career, because everybody told me there's no money to be made in design. Just like leave your hands off that, basically. And I thought I'm going to one day become a journalist or something. And I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to live somewhere else than in Germany. I always had this kind of in the back of my head. But I knew it would be a little difficult to make this work with a stable job. Because I actually like stability, especially in terms of the income. So, I thought this wasn't maybe the best idea. But, basically then I was studying and I didn't really know how to make this work. And COVID hit. And I flew to South Africa to my parents, who've been living in South Africa for a while. And I really wanted to make it work to come and live here as well. But as I said, I didn't really know how. And I used design, started freelancing just as a way to kind of create this freedom. Those are the beginnings, I guess, but not very successful. So in the beginning, I was struggling with what most freelancers are struggling, like, where do I find the clients? How do I get my positioning right? I was basically charging like very little for websites. Pretty desperate in trying to make it work, but not really having any strategy in doing so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what happened then?
With some help, obviously, but with some help and some strategy, I brick by brick built the business over the next few years. So basically, I started like strapping everything that I thought my business has to be or something. And we completely redeveloped the approach of working. And especially the networking that I was doing, because I found that, and I think a lot of freelancers and other entrepreneurs can relate to this. I really don't like cold outreach in terms of sales. I always struggled with that, like just finding the right clients and really getting out of my comfort zone. And I mean, cold calling or something still would give me nightmares. So I never thought I would be doing that. But that gave me some challenges. Like, how do I get clients if I am scared of cold calling, for example, and I don't want to send out cold emails or something like that. So I guess like networking and getting the positioning right was a very, very big, like a key factor in just finding the feet. And to be honest, it was also because I was kind of 1 foot in South Africa and 1 foot in Germany. I still had like my flat and things in Germany, but I knew I wanted to go to South Africa. It was like a must. Like the pressure was so high. I have to make this work, because if I don't make it work, then I have to go back to Germany and, I don't know, find a marketing job or a design job or whatever I was doing, basically in a German company with a fixed income. And I can't live my dream, which is just being independent and working for my own terms, for my own clients, for my own time, all of those wonderful things that you can do if you own a freelance business or an agency business. But yeah, that was one of the key things that I had to get over with and get straight, basically, is just how to get those clients. And once those systems started running, and I mean, you helped me a lot with this as strategy and coaching, the coaching part of this. Once we got that straight, it started going a lot better. And after I think, what's that like? After I
So
think,
what happened then exactly? Like when you're saying, okay, it was a struggle to find clients, and then you were kind of stuck. You wanted to move to South Africa, and then what do you think was the big thing that helped you switch from, okay, it's not possible to find clients or even clients that would be a good fit, to now it's possible and easy, and it becomes easier and easier to find those clients? Like, what do you think was the big shift there?
I think it was mainly a mindset shift, to be honest, because the clients are out there, definitely.
Mhm.
It's not so much of, I think it was more the, okay, I just have to jump. I just have to do it, because I will find the clients. There's no other way. Like, there is no way to going back to Germany. It was more a jump into this adventure, in a sense, because this raised the panic monster so much behind me that I was starting to find the clients. You know what I mean? Like, and also, I guess to a certain extent back then, my parents were still helping me a little bit financially. And when I cut that off, like I completely cut the independence, not knowing if I would have enough money for the next month to really pay my rent or anything. But I was like, okay, that's it. Like, no more parents' money. Studies are almost done. I'm moving now, and I will make it work with my clients. And that jump made me really try so much harder than I would have otherwise if that safety net would have still been there. So actually taking away that safety net, I think, was a huge boost for me just to make it work.
Very brave move, by the way. And that's also probably not the right move for everybody, because as you also described right now, I mean, that's a tough thing to do, to decide and then to actually go through, because it can mean real struggle. Maybe it goes super easy, great, but it can mean real struggle. And going through that is maybe not for everybody, but it can be one of the fastest roads to make a next level step happen, to establish it, because there is no other option. So, and I'm I'm really proud of you that you did that. Actually, you made
Thank
this
you.
happen. And it was a bit crazy. There was some
It
roller
was a bit
coaster.
crazy, and there was some struggling in there as well. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I understand that it's absolutely not for everyone. Like there's things as an entrepreneur that you have to go through and that I had to go through myself. And I remember you telling me that I have to go through this basically. That's definitely not for everybody, where you struggle a lot and you just have to bite through and dive through it and hope you come back on the other side.
Yep, you chose the hard path, but the hard path sometimes is the shorter path. And
Yeah.
super excited. So what would you say once you had this first level? Okay, now there's something existing. Now you have a business. Now you have some clients. Maybe not everything perfect, but the survival mode is pretty much gone. And now you have a life in South Africa. So what happened next, or how did it go on?
So I think one of the mistakes I made back then was too much of my monthly income was dependent from one client. And that's something that I found out later is obviously not so smart, because if that one client doesn't have clients for you, it was actually someone that was bringing clients to us, or if the relationship between me and that client breaks, which it did, obviously, but it makes you very dependent on that person or on that company, basically, on the income from that company. So that was something that I realized then when that like slowly started fading out. I was like, okay, cool. It was going really well while that was going well, but there wasn't enough diversity in the client base to really support me in a way where I wouldn't be like breathing a bit harder, like if I know, okay, 2 months from now, I might not know what the planning is exactly looking like. So one of the key things that I started shifting is I just tried to diversify the clients I was working with. Back then, I was still working on my own, just me and my assistant. But yeah, I just tried to really make sure that I am not dependent on only one specific company, but that I have multiple clients of who I get the income stream in. I always try to work with only a handful of clients because quality is something that I always value very, very much. I never wanted to become one of these big design studios where, yeah, you basically never talk to the owner. You are talking to the assistant of the second level of management, and you actually don't know who your person is that works with you. And I go for a very, very personal approach, still with my team today. But yeah, also back then, a handful of clients, but trying to diversify.
Yep. Cool. That's definitely one learning a lot of freelancers in that mode make at some point. Even actually right now, I know a couple who just faced this problem recently, lost one big client, and then you're struggling again. So I'm happy for you. You resolved that. And
Yeah.
like how would you describe this change then? Maybe you can also say like you figured out who your favorite audience is, your favorite client is, your favorite, basically it's also your favorite website and brand design that you're building at the same time, right? And maybe you want to speak a little bit about that, and then maybe how are those client relationships, how do they look like? How did you establish that? How does that feel maybe also for a client to work with you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I always struggle to put like a specific area of work onto my clients and be like, okay, I only work for dentists. I don't know. It wasn't never like this. Like I could never really define a target group like this because my target group actually shares values. This is what I figured out later. It's less about what they do. It's more the approach that they have and the values that I share with them. So something like, a very good working relationship, a very respectful working relationship, things like that, or just in general, like the way they create impact with their brands is something that I connect with my clients a lot until today. And that's something that I see from the beginning on. So we worked for kindergartens and consultants and agencies and marketing agencies and what else recently? Sports companies. And we even worked for one of my clients.
Right?
Yeah, I was just about to say one of my clients from last year that I was so proud of was actually e-commerce. So a nutrition company based in London that we built a wonderful, wonderful custom web shop for. So you see, it's very, very diverse, and there's not one specific line, but it's more the way that people build their brands and what they build the brands for and what impact they want to create that I connect with rather than the area of work that they do. And yeah, as I
What would
mentioned,
that be exactly? Like what connects them if you would have to describe those values?
so I work with a lot of coaches and consultants, for example, and I know the industry is huge, especially in Europe. It's a huge, huge market. But what I really enjoy working with coaches and consultants is that they help other people grow. They do something meaningful and helpful. In a sense, if that makes sense. And I know that like through design, I'm maybe not like, solving cancer, curing cancer now or something. But I feel like by working with clients that do meaningful work and impactful work, I also contribute in a way. That was something that I always liked to work with. Just working with impactful brands, and not just for making money, also for doing something further than just making money, something good and giving something back to society in a way.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for describing that. That's quite interesting. Then, yeah, I would be curious also. Now you're not freelancing anymore. You have a
No.
team, and the team is growing. The vision is also there for much more growth. I'd be curious, how does it feel differently to run your business now that you have a team and versus back then when you were still freelancing and basically doing the designs yourself and every communication with the clients yourself and handling
Yeah.
everything else in the background yourself. Like how is that different now?
Yeah. So actually, my whole vision for my business changed. In the beginning, when I started out, I just wanted to be able to support myself. I thought if I can get a stable income from this and I can support myself and live in Africa and surf, that's all I want. That was like beginning of 20, my whole freedom approach to this. And then as I worked and grew, I realized, hey, I want to do actually so much more because it's my passion really bringing brands to life and giving them the look that they actually deserve. And I just found that this is something that I want to grow into and that I want to build a team who shares this passion and who loves working with these impactful brands on this passion. And so, yeah, I think like 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago, somewhere around that, like the passion changed a little bit, like the vision changed. And I knew I wanted to grow a team. I mean, I always had my assistant, but I knew I wanted to really grow the team and grow the business. And now, honestly, like 1.5 years later, I cannot imagine myself without my team anymore. We hired our first full-time designer start of this year, so that was like the first step. I started out with some freelancers last year, and then this year was like a huge milestone because it just gave me so much more freedom to actually work on the client relationship and work on the things that I actually have to work on as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, is building my brand and building my business and growing and doing the client relations and things like that. So it just gave me the freedom to do that. But what was always super important to me is that our quality of work doesn't drop. So that's why I'm so incredibly thankful for the amazing team that I have, because my employees, like they work so hard and the quality of work that they deliver is amazing. Like I strive to be, when we grow in like 5 years, I strive to be the worst designer of my team because I really want to work with absolute A players, absolute amazing senior designers that can do way better than anything that I can do as a designer. I must be the best entrepreneur and the best business owner, not the best designer.
Great way to see the future, I would say. I'd be super curious about one thing that you were mentioning in between the lines. There was a time when your vision changed for how you want to develop your career from basically freelancing to then wanting to build a team. And
Yeah.
why I think that's quite interesting is like I've helped personally also a lot of people to develop their career also to this point. And then, okay, let's say you make 10,000 a month, somewhere along this ballpark, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But when somebody starts at whatever, close to zero, and then people have the idea, okay, I want to build a $1 million business. But once people reach 10,000 a month, they figure this is a different life. And
Yeah.
for a lot of people, it means like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Why now do more? Why now change everything again, take on more risks, build the team? That's a lot of work. It's a lot of, it's, you can already smell there's years of development coming if you would decide for that step. And I have seen this many times that people decide against it. And I believe if it doesn't feel right, and if you don't have this very strong urge to do it, then don't do it. I think it's the right move to then just stick with the freelance career, enjoy your
Yeah.
freedom that way. Once you have structured it well, great. But why did you want to grow it further?
Okay, so it's a two-part answer. Part number one is, and I think a lot of business owners can relate to that, including you, I might think. There is this ever-burning like fire, basically, in me that I want to do more. And just this more is it's not money related or like I want to become famous or anything. It's just like I want to be faster. I want to be higher. I want to be, you know what I mean? Like this kind of urge to just be more than what you currently are. That I think that was something that only came out a bit later in my mid-20s. Because when I started, I was like, okay, if I can make stable income, I can go surf and I can chill, and that's all I wanted beginning of 20. But when I grew a little bit older, that changed, and this kind of fire like started developing more and more because I was having so much fun building my business, and it was my passion. Helping, like the way I work with my clients is so fulfilling for me. I just thought, okay, this cannot be it. Like I need more, basically. And the second part is as well, I've realized that the way I was freelancing back then, I wasn't free. And this is something that is literally going like from the beginning until now. Like freedom is the thing that I am creating for myself, for my team, for my company, for everybody. And I wasn't free back then because I was slaving basically in the freelance world, and I couldn't take off randomly when I wanted because there were clients screaming. Now I had enough clients, which is fantastic, and I was very grateful back then as well. But now they were screaming for me all the time, and I was so overworked. I had so long days and long hours, and I was like, okay, I love my job, but this is getting really, really tiring, and it's getting to the point where I just cannot handle it by myself anymore. I need help. And this is not the freedom that I wanted to create in the beginning. So that's when I started really thinking about, okay, how can I create a life for myself as well, where I'm not dependent on the hours I sit to work with a client.
Quite interesting. And then there's two ways to solve this. One way is to structure the freelance business, keep small, and just create more time for yourself and keep it rolling small. And the other way is to break through and build it bigger and bigger and create much more freedom. So that's what you were choosing at this point. So
Yeah.
quite interesting. And when you now let me switch the topic a little bit for a second. Like when a client comes to you, typical client, let's say could be a coach of some sort. Usually they are already successful in what they do.
Yeah.
And like what would be their typical situation they're in? Because most of the time, from what I see, they already have a website, right? It's not they building their first website. Maybe for some it might be, but what is the
Yeah, but
typical
those
situation
usually.
and what is the transformation? And also what does it mean for them to have a new website, especially a new corporate branding or new personal branding in this case? What does it mean for their business also?
Yeah. So we usually don't work with people that don't have a website at all, unless it's like a business owner that just founded a new brand and they want to start in that high ticket offer with their new brand, like straight from the beginning. But the general way how it goes is when you start out, you put something online. You just like put together a little website with Wix or another template builder and a quick logo in Canva, and then you go out and you try to make score your first client, right? Especially as a coach, when you start out, it's just as long as something's out and visible, that's fine. But then you start getting more and more clients, and you start obviously like developing your pricings, and you reach that point where your look basically from back then, like 5 years ago or 3 years ago when you first did that Canva branding, doesn't match that 5-figure offer anymore that you are now trying to sell to your clients. And that creates a break point in the client journey for them, because you're trying to sell them a 10, 15, 20K coaching here, but you look like you could barely take 3. So that usually creates a huge gap in the client's expectations, because you don't look as premium as you're trying to sell. And that's when what we realized is when a lot of our clients are like having problems and coming to us being like, okay, like the value that I am actually giving isn't communicated, whether it's the website or it's the logo and like the general corporate identity, the social media design, the ad design, if you have an ad funnel running, something like that, things like that. All of these design touch points, these first touch points before the client actually speaks with you, these touch points communicate something about the value of your service, of your product. And if that's not matching, then the client's expectations aren't met. And that's when usually things start going sideways. And that's when our clients start coming to us and say, okay, we need an upgrade on this. We need to start matching that level where we are, because they have great services. The coachings are valuable. It's really, really good stuff, but they just don't look like it. And we help them basically bring that look up to, the value that their service actually provides. And also claiming that authority of the brand that they really deserve, because they might be one of the top-notch coaches in their segment, but they just don't look like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely right. And one thing that I always felt also personally is not only what you just described, but also you never know somebody who is a prospect. Maybe you have even talked to him and maybe the person is interested in buying from you, sees the website and decides not to buy because of seeing the website.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, because you never know how many did not buy, and they will not tell you. So
Of course
you don't
not. It's
even
like
know
a
how
dollar number.
expensive
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
And
And the worst thing
yeah,
that I've seen, the worst thing is that people go then to a potential a competitor and buy from the competitor just because their website or their touch point was more trustworthy and they had a better all over client experience, but they will get a service that's actually worse than what they would have gotten with the coach that they actually wanted to, but they never got to actually experience that. So now they're getting a service that's less valuable for probably more money just because the competitor looked better. And that's something that makes me personally sad.
yeah, it's kind of crazy, but looking better makes it easier to sell for higher prices.
Very much. Very
Yeah,
much.
it's crazy,
I
but
always
it's a psychological truth.
It's crazy. Like I always give this example to my clients. So if you just imagine a very simple restaurant menu, on the one menu is like it's just a piece of paper. There's some spelling mistakes. There's like a sauce stain or something that's all a bit sticky, and you sit there and you're like, okay. And on the other hand, you have a beautiful menu on like thick paper with a nice font that's like in a kind of a leather coat or something. And suddenly those $30 for the main feel very, very okay on the second one, just because the touch and feel experience is better. Maybe the food's the same quality. You will never know. You think already that the second one is better just because of the look and feel of it.
Yep. buyers buy the presentation. In this case, the presentation, the menu. Yeah, good example, because you have an idea. Do you want to have a dinner that is, your anniversary dinner?
Yeah. Where are
You
you gonna
want a
have your
special
anniversary?
experience, you buy the experience, or do you want to just have a quick meal? Then you maybe don't care. And how do you know the difference? It looks different.
Exactly.
Premium looks premium. Yeah, I find that pretty interesting myself to observe that. And also personally, like I'm a fan also to see things that look good. And at the same time, I mean, if I think about my website, if I see it, I feel good. It makes even myself feel better, and it makes it easier to present myself, present my offers, and
Very
I
much.
think that's exactly what you want when you make a development. Speaking of myself, you develop yourself, you develop your offer, your clients. You have different clients coming. The better you get, you have better clients, and it just feels awkward to not present the level that you are. It feels wrong inside. And once you fix that, you
Mm.
look the part. It just feels good, and naturally, I think your charisma changes somewhat.
Yeah, like
May-
your
Maybe
whole
that's something people can relate.
confidence changes. Your
Yeah.
whole confidence changes because suddenly you're going out with a completely different energy, saying, "Hey, if you're interested, check my website." Instead of saying something like, "My website hasn't been worked on in a while, so don't take it too serious. Just like take the booking link directly." I've heard everything. Trust me.
Right. Yeah. I'd be curious, maybe two last questions before we hop off this podcast for today. But I'm very excited about the second question, especially. But before that, I'd be curious, like in a couple of sentences, what do you think is the next couple of years bringing for Voelcker Designs and especially
Mm.
your clients also?
Very interesting question. So yeah, as I said earlier, we're busy growing our team. So we are 5 now, and I would like to expand my team and really hire a few more designers and really focus on that. Because I think that's just something that I can bring my clients so much more value with that if we grow our team a bit because we're at capacity, like always. And I know this is an absolute luxury problem, but it's great if I can increase the capacities a bit more and take on a little bit more. Just because, yeah, that's the next growth step for us, I think. And also expanding into different areas of service. We've noticed, yeah, things like copywriting and so on, like really, really good copywriting, something that goes so nicely hand in hand with the websites that we do. So that's something that I'm currently trying to develop as a service. And for my clients, specifically, we are restructuring the way we are working with clients. So what's never going to change, and I can promise you that, is our one-on-one approach with our clients. Like I will always make the time, make the effort, and I will always work with my clients like very, very closely. But obviously, like the more we grow, the more people will be collaborating on it, which is great. Um, yeah, but basically, we are restructuring into something where we can deliver faster and better results. That's my number one priority for the next coming years, so that we can shorten certain times that we need in order to develop design assets, because the faster we can deliver those, the faster you can go out with those, whether it's ads, landing pages, websites. I'm just always trying to shorten the times without losing quality, of course, but making it as efficient as possible. And a little bit of a bigger team is definitely going to help me with that.
Yeah, exciting. It's not going to get boring.
No,
So,
definitely not.
final question. Out of all the experiences you've collected so far as an entrepreneur, if there was one learning that you could leave the world with for this podcast today, what would be this one learning you'd love to share?
Mm. Oh, that's a tough one, definitely. Okay. Um, I think the biggest learning is, and tell me if that's like that's too generic now or something, but I would say as an entrepreneur you have to be the ultimate realist. You have to there's no, okay, I can just look positive on these things or something like this. You have to be realistic with the things, but still jump. That's like the biggest learning. Like jump, even if it scares you, be realistic about it, 100%, but still do it, because I promise you, with the right motivation and the right panic monster behind you, you will make it work. If you try your absolute best and are realistic about your expectations.
Wow, thank you for that. Appreciate that. And then before we hop off, Flora, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, best way?
Best way, just contact me on LinkedIn, honestly. It's Flora Voelcker on LinkedIn. Send me a message there and get in touch with me if there's anything we can help with, whether it's logo design, website design, or just in general design assets such as social media designs or ads. Just get in touch with us.
Absolutely. And we're going to also put the link down there, as well as the link to your website. I think people should also see the transformations before and after, including mine. You can find that if you're interested. Flora, again, thanks. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert.
Cheers.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much for having me today. Bye.
Go to rockandrollyourdreams.com/podcast.